Hello folks, Everchanger here, and welcome back to more Ōkami. Last time we made our way here to the village of Wepkir, and we got quite a bit of backstory regarding the land of Kamui. And we also learned that we need to go search the Lost Forest Yoshpet for a girl named Lika, who can apparently bring this land back to its former glory. What the game doesn't tell you is you actually need to go to Laochi Lake up north of Wepkir first, and normally I would go and do that, but unfortunately there is something there that costs 360,000 yen, and as you can see, I am very, very short. Now you're probably wondering, why didn't you just grind money in between episodes down south? I was going to, except we have a mandatory cutscene we have to see first, and no, we cannot warp. I've tried. So without further ado, let's check out what Kai has to say. How did it go with Kemu? Did he want to talk to you about something? It was a little more than a leisurely talk. We were asked to go look for Lika and Yoshpet. Yoshpet? You mean the forest in the east? I don't think anyone's been there to look for her yet. Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, that forest isn't exactly a prime tourist spot. Isun, are you really going to go back there? Who says I'm going back? I was using the royal we. I was talking about Furball here. Yoshpet is like another world. Get lost and you might never return. But don't you worry. Ami here will find Lika. If that's the case, I'll lead the way. What? I know you must be worried, Isun, but we haven't got much time. What do you mean? The demons are waiting for the Day of Darkness. It's a solar eclipse that occurs once every 100 years. I feel like everything in this game occurs once every 100 years, but anyway. Kamui will be in total darkness for a whole day when it happens. Without sunlight, and with the demon's blizzard going on, no living thing in Kamui will be able to survive the day. There are only a few days until the Day of Darkness. If Lika's not here to recite the volcanic incantation by then... Amaterasu, you're no ordinary wolf, are you? Kemu wouldn't have asked you to do this otherwise. Maybe you're the reincarnation of the white wolf, Shiranui. You must be very strong if you can cope with Isun. And your point is? Sorry. Anyway, there's no time to lose. I'll lead you into the forest, Amaterasu. Come when you're ready. I'm going ahead to the edge of the forest. And indeed, off she goes. And I find it very interesting. I don't know if this is a character design thing or just an atmospheric thing, but you'll notice that Kai's wolf form is very, very thin. Like skinny. I feel like it definitely pushes the whole land in distress type of plot point. But anyway, I have to go grind money, so we're going to head out and do that right now. Hey, wait a sec. You're not really going to go to Yoshpet, are you? Huh. Ignorance must be bliss, eh, Furball? The forest's entrance has been sealed by the Owina crest. Strangers can't even get in. Unless, of course, somebody from the Owina tribe whips up a spell or something. Interesting indeed. Oh, don't tell me I can't even go all the way out there, huh? I need the money. Why are you so bent on entering Yoshpet? The entrance has been sealed by the... Okay. Yeah, this is the one time where we're probably going to run out of money, but oh wow, it'll actually let me go anyway. Nice. Alrighty, with that, I have ground up all the money that we need in order to do the thing in the next area. I do apologize for the awkwardness of me having to grind for money, which is something we really haven't had to do up until now. But this point of the game, in particular, throws a ton of stuff at you that costs a lot of money, and it can get really frustrating when all of a sudden you're dead broke, which we are going to be very, very soon. And in fact, there's even more stuff coming up that we're going to have to pay for, so be vigilant with those treasures, otherwise you might have to grind just like I did. But anyway, here we are, at the very base of Ezofuji. This is actually a completely new overworld area separate from Kamui proper, which means there are more stray beads and stuff that we can find over here, which we're going to be doing pretty quickly off. First off, we have this, which I believe is a text. Yes, indeed it is. Another civilization. I think I want to read that, actually, because that has some pretty interesting information that we might want to read about. Modern Nippon offers mysteries that cannot be easily explained. Devices that even scholars in the capital are unable to decipher. Stone artifacts that endow the wearer with special abilities. They are thought to be evidence of a civilization beyond our own. My great-grandfather spoke often of such matters. He had traveled to the windy plains of Taka Pass for brush training. While there, he noticed a strange light tracing an arc in the sky. The light eventually settled in the area of Sasa Sanctuary. Great-grandfather traveled there the following day. Where the light had landed, he saw a mysterious symbol floating in midair. It is not uncommon to hear such tales repeated here in Nippon. Whether one believes in this otherworldly civilization or not, it would seem that many among us certainly want to believe. I am not ashamed to say I count myself among their ranks. Sound familiar? Very, very interesting stuff. We've been hearing a lot about this otherworldly civilization, so to speak. And speaking of said otherworldly civilization, look at that all the way out there in the lake. That seems important, doesn't it? But we're going to be discussing that in due time. Anyway, this area is pretty much a big loop all the way around that gigantic boat-shaped thing in the middle of the lake, so it's definitely worth keeping that in mind. What we want to do to gain access to Yoshpet is we have to go talk to someone all the way back here, and I have to say, the game does very, very little, in my opinion, to tell you that this is exactly what you're supposed to do. It's just a really, really weird section of the game where I feel like things are a little unclear as to your heading. But anyway, all the way back here, all the way at the end, we have this gigantic door of some sorts, and a little bit of a hut. So let's head right on in. I know who you are. Yes, that divine look of yours is unmistakable. You're the legendary white wolf, Shiranui, aren't you? Wow, they've heard that name here too. Well, I suppose Shiranui's legend did travel across the sea to Kamui. Guess it really resonates with the Owina's cause they are so spiritual. Oh, Isun. It's been quite a while, so you're still alive. This is the shaman, Tuskel. Notice the gold and silver owls on her hat. That is also pretty important for later. Haha, I ain't ready to kick the bucket yet. I just left on a little trip, that's all. Well, I'm glad to see you safe. As you can see, we haven't been so lucky here in Kamui. Since the monsters were revived, many people have lost their lives. Yeah, I've heard all about it. So, what's up with those demons coming back? And where the heck is Lika? The demons have shut themselves up in Ezofuji's Waoku shrine. They are responsible for the fierce blizzard raging throughout Kamui. We're managing to keep some of it at bay, thanks to Afun Gate. But when the day comes, Kamui is sure to freeze over completely. That's not what worries me most, though. What worries me is how the demons were revived in the first place. Kemu noticed it as well, but just before the demons made their return, a dark force traveled here from the southern land. We both felt an evil energy flowing into Kamui. That's when the demons woke up, as if in response to it. Southern land? Oh, she must mean Nippon. In other words, she's talking about the return of Orochi. There have been so many monsters here in Kamui. that some people even call it the birthplace of evil. I can't help thinking all this havoc in Nippon has its root in Laochi Lake, the eternally frozen lake at the foot of Ezofuji. Oh, really? There is a large lake called Laochi at the foot of Ezofuji. I think the reason Kamui is called the birthplace of evil is because of the Ark of Yamato that rests in that lake. The Ark of Yamato. Anyone from Kamui knows that story. It's said that the legendary Iron Ark fell from the heavens. My grandpa used to tell me that story. Long, long ago in the Age of Myths, an iron ark fell from the celestial plane above and sunk into Laochi Lake. The celestial plane is the land above where gods dwell. The gods are known as celestials there. The ark that the celestials were on came crashing down to this land. It was as if they were being chased by something. What they didn't know was that on board with them were countless monsters. One by one they were consumed, till all the Celestials were dead. Once the ark crashed, the monsters disembarked and started ravaging the lands. The world hasn't been safe since. It's said that monsters still rise from the lake's depths. That must be why they call it the Lake of Demons. That's about all I know about it. I do have one thing to add to that. And that's the story of the one surviving Celestial of the Ark. The Ark fell to this world from the Celestial Plane. It was full of monsters, which killed the Celestials on board. But the legend tells that there was one man who survived. He managed to escape from the hell that the Ark had become. He then fled, going into hiding somewhere in our world. First time I've heard that. They say the reason monsters still emerge from the Ark in Laochi Lake is that the ruler of darkness is still searching for that man. Ruler of darkness? Does he have a name? It's all just a legend. No one knows if it's true or not. No one has ever set foot on it. But the Ark brought tragedy to our world, that's for sure. If the powers of darkness in the world are gathering in Kamui, I believe it's because the Ark of Yamato is beckoning them. I apologize for chatting so much. Now, if you've come all this way, am I to assume you have Kemu's permission? I speak of permission to enter Yoshpet, the Forest of Confusion. Yep, that's right. I really couldn't care less, but Ami here's another story. The entrance to the forest is sealed with the Ōina crest. It's our way of protecting the place from evil. There's no way that I can break the seal, but if the Elder has ordered your entry, then I must comply. Shiranui, you may have the Ōina amulet, Sewa Prolo. And we have obtained Sewa Prolo, which will allow us entrance into Yoshpet, but I think you all can tell that this is by far not the most interesting thing that we have learned here today. With that amulet, you can pass by the Ōina crest unhindered, and you can proceed on into Yoshpet. If the Elder has deemed it to be right, there can be no mistake. You are the one who can find Lika. Find her before it's too late and Kamui freezes over. Very, very interesting bit of backstory learned right there. You want to take all of it to heart because it will all become important later. Anyway, with that, as you can see, this overworld area is pretty decently large, and there's some stuff that we want to explore in this area, because there are some things that we want to grab. First things first, you'll notice there is a vine thing right on over here. What we can do is jump over this way, and with Digging Champ, we got quite a few clovers here that we can dig up. First off, we have this one, and I believe Digging Champ clovers give a lot of praise when you bloom them, so yep, 40. We're going to be getting quite a bit of praise in this area in particular, which is very good because last episode I feel like even though we got that big amount from the snowball minigame, we really didn't get too much else. And I believe right in here is, yep, it is a stray bead. Very nice. Alrighty. Now I believe there is another one very close to here actually, and I think what I want to do is I'm actually going to turn it to nighttime, because I don't think it's nighttime yet, because I'd really like the ability to be able to see treasures as they stick up out of the ground. So let's see, can we get up to this one? I think we can. This area, I'll be honest, is a little bit weird to navigate, and for that reason we might get a little bit lost or confused in this area. It's just a very strangely set up location, I guess you can say. As you can see, it's just not a very natural formation that we're used to exploring. Anyway, I know there is another stray bead somewhere around here. Is it up here? I think it's up here. Aha! Is it this chest? No, this is actually the sun fragment, which is also very nice. Definitely going to want to grab that. With that, we only have 2 sun fragments left, and we will have every single one, which is really crazy. Lots of stuff we're getting the last of. Kind of freaky if you ask me. Okay, up here I think is the stray bead we want. I believe this is it. And I do have to say, this is probably the easiest part of Kamui to navigate, just because it is just one single pathway looping around this area. Anyway, right here we have another clover, probably only worth about 20 or 30. Can we get that? There we go, 30. That's not too terrible. Alright, I think next up what we want to do is we want to jump down here, because I'm pretty sure there's another platform all the way out here that we want to explore, because there's quite a bit of stuff that we can grab in these outer areas that you really probably wouldn't think to explore at all. But there's actually some pretty worthwhile stuff you'll want to grab. First things first, we have this right here. We can use the fire to melt that, and from this chest we get another stray bead. Very, very nice. That is 3 already. And then we can use wind to put that out and open this, and we get a treasure etched glass that we definitely want to sell at some point very, very soon. Alright, I think our next plan of action is to go over this way. I do have to say, I don't remember exactly where this last thing I want to grab is, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around here. Can I walk on this at all? Wow, I actually can't. That's impressive. Alrighty, anyway, gonna head on over this way, I guess. And as you can see, this arc of Yamato right here, this thing is no joke. This thing is huge. It's kind of insane how huge this thing is. It definitely holds a lot of secrets, as you could probably tell from all of the talking that Tuskull did just earlier, having to do with the legend of this arc. And I have to tell you, every single word in that legend is going to have some form of meaning going onwards later in the game. I'm not going to spoil exactly what I mean by that, but you want to take all of it to heart. Can I really not get up here? Apparently I can't. Well, anyway, you will notice there is actually an ultimate origin mirror up there in a rocky area that we cannot access. So what we actually have to do to get up there, in particular, is we have to go back into Wepkir and warp using the ultimate origin mirror there. So I'm going to do that really quick. Alrighty, and here we are up in the rocky area after warping. It's really, really neat how they hide these little areas right here. This is the second area, and I believe the last area, that you are required to have mist warp to access. And as you might imagine, they're going to hide a stray bead up here, because why on earth wouldn't they? Anyway, we're going to feed that bear and get a really paltry amount of praise, to be honest. After a while, the animals really just aren't worth feeding just because you can get so much more praise doing other things in the game. Anyway, I believe it's this chest. Yes, it is. Stray bead, very nice. 4 of 4, and we also have the sun fragment for this area, which is awesome. And right here we have a silver pocket watch, which you definitely want to grab because it sells for so much money. It's insane. Anyway, there is a ledge over right near where we met Tuskull that I actually missed while I was trying to go over that way, and that's where I want to go next. Can we actually jump off of this? I'm not sure if we can jump off of this. But yeah, it's actually pretty well hidden, and I think I might actually have to warp out of here in order to get back, which is interesting, so I guess I'm gonna do that really quick. If it'll work. If it will work. There we go. Alrighty, here we are back in the Ezofuji area. Where we're going is that little nook right up in the northwestern portion of the map. I was trying to get to it just earlier, but I guess I was looking in slightly the wrong spot, and even though this area is pretty easy to navigate, I feel like stuff here... Wow, voice crack. I feel like some of the stuff here is a little bit difficult to find just because it's just so spread out. Alright, where are we going? Okay, we need to go a lot further up than this. So yeah, even though this area is easy to get around, it can be a little difficult to find stuff just because it's really just spread thin around the area. Where we actually want to go, I think, is we want to jump off here, and there's actually a little bit of a spot right here with a diamond rock and an iron rock. We want to chop down that iron rock and jump down in here. And with that, we have yet another one of these divine springs, and considering what we needed to do to gain access to this area, you can probably imagine what we're going to find. First off, we got quite a bit of praise in here in the form of all these clovers. Clovers? Come on, is it really just biased to recognizing counterclockwise swirls? I'm a lefty, you gotta respect me. And I didn't even dig in the right spot. Alright, we need this spot right here. Nice. It really is just biased towards counterclockwise swirls. That's really, really annoying because I'm a lefty and they're not as easy to pull off, I feel like. Oh, well, there we go. That's that theory disproven, I guess. Anyway, with that, I think we have enough praise to warrant going in here and upgrading our health. Once we do that, it is full, which means these are the only two things left for us to upgrade. Of the two things I'd recommend upgrading now that these two things are full, I'd recommend upgrading the manly purse, because there's some really expensive stuff we're going to be going after from here on out. The god of the divine spring helps those who toss in some money. Anyway, nothing good ever comes out of having too much money. Why not cleanse your body and soul by tossing some in? Again, what you want to do is you want to toss in the same amount 3 times, so I'm going to do that right now. The largest amount 3 times, not the same amount 3 times, but I mean words, I can do them. And with that, I have no more money. But it's good, because this power is really, really awesome. Ah, Amaterasu, origin of all that is good, and mother to us all. Only a heart as pure as your own can pierce the darkness. I, Tachigami, can sense purity and light flowing from within your wallet. Thanks to you, my power has again reached its peak. You can now easily slash through anything you desire. With this, we have the ultimate power of Power Slash 3. This is capable of felling those yellow demon scrolls. The bite of Power Slash got even more powerful? Does that mean you can cut even harder things than before? Boy, I can't wait till you try it out. Now, it's worth noting that hardhead technique that we bought back in episode 36, I think it was, the power of that actually scales with Power Slash for amusing effect, which I'm going to demonstrate right about now. right over this way, there is a diamond rock. Now, we could try and power slash it, but what's more amusing is that you can just headbutt it now that you have power slash 3. So yes, you can either slash it or you can have a bit more fun. Anyway, literally any clover that you find underneath something like that will give 50 praise automatically, which is really, really good. If you've seen any of these diamond rocks elsewhere in Nippon, you'll definitely want to go back and visit them, because there is practically countless praise awaiting you in every single one of these, which is really, really insane. Anyway, with that, I think we're actually going to be ending things off. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit of a shorter video, but as you might imagine, the area we're going next is going to get pretty intense, and also I do recommend having at least 200,000 yen before proceeding into Yoshpet, because, spoiler alert, there is even more money to be spent once we get down into the middle. I know, it's insane. But yes, with that, I think, without further ado, we are going to end things off here. So, this past episode of Ōkami, we headed to the base of Ezofuji and we heard about the legend of the Ark of Yamato and the Celestials, who apparently all died when it came crashing down to the land below. Except for one. Who is that one? Perhaps we've seen him before. Perhaps we have not. I'll keep it a secret for you. And next time on Ōkami, we are going to be heading out into the mysterious forest of Yoshpet in search of Lika. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Ōkami!